All right, welcome back. Great to have Dennis Bernstein back in the house talking some National Hockey League. As of course the Olympics are over, and I guess Dennis, before we get to what happened on the ice last night, I mean, you talk about a moment for the ages on the ice last Sunday
Sure.
morning. I mean, I guess that was the only thing that poke a hole at and say it had to happen on Sunday morning, maybe so some people missed it. But look, I mean, the history of hockey was really, I think, put on display yesterday, and I think, or last Sunday, and I think that that game in
Mhm.
particular, the gold medal game, will be up there amongst the greatest games of all time. I don't know if it's number one, but it's got to be in that conversation.
Yeah. Well, we waited 12 years for international hockey to be played again by NHL players, and it's been 46 years since they won the gold medal in the USA. So, of course, it's a defining moment here with respect to USA hockey and with respect to international competition. And whether the Canadians like it or not, Greg, we've caught up. So, going forward, the World Cup of Hockey in 2 years, the Olympics again in 4 years, it's a toss-up. We're as good as the Canadians right now, and they proved it on Sunday in Milan.
Definitely a moment that I have witnessed and historically watching the Olympics as I have. I've never seen anything like that. But 1980, I was too young for that. 7 years old. Okay, so Dennis, let's let's get to the second half of the season, and let's
Sure.
get to some results from last night. The Sabres beat the Devils 2-1. So Jack Hughes back on the ice, and it did not go as planned. I guess let's break it down.
Yeah, well, a guy he had a whirlwind of celebration. Actually, him and all his teammates did, but it was ironic. He played 21 minutes, so there was no hangover from partying in Miami with everybody and Pat McAfee. He played 20, but ironically, he turned the puck over to a teammate from the Olympic team, Tage Thompson, which basically decided the game last night in a 2-1 game. So Buffalo's on a really good run right now. They should make the playoffs after 15 years of not being in the playoffs last year. And New Jersey's up against it, Craig, right now. They're on the outside looking in. Um, we'll see what happens with New Jersey, but that was kind of a defining moment of two Olympic teammates, one victimizing the other last night in New Jersey.
You know what's funny, and Dennis, I do want to hit on this topic because Dennis and I were talking about it during the break. Is that from a sports handicapping perspective, like you
Sure.
feel like maybe you're ahead of something going into this game last night with Vegas and then the LA Kings. It's like if you could
Right.
have set up a scenario for yourself, said, you know what, I think that the Golden Knights are going to sit some players from the Olympics, and then when the puck drops, you're like, wow, all these guys are out. I'm going to win this bet, and then you
Yeah.
lose. Vegas wins 6-4. I mean, I mean that is, it's not a bad beat, so to speak, but it just shows you in sports and in betting, nothing is guaranteed.
No question, Craig. And I know we do at the fourth period, we do our picks daily. And I had the Kings on the money line last night for that reason. And it's not like they had one or two players out, Craig. They had five guys out. Five guys that played in the Olympic gold medal game were out. So you got to think, okay, this is, and the Kings added Artemi Panarin, who was just traded from the Rangers. So here's a great way to celebrate it against a team that's really shorthanded. And guess what? The Vegas Golden Knights scored 5 goals in the third period with a team that is more like their minor league team than their NHL team. So you're right, Craig. You never know betting this sport what's going to happen. And yeah, absolutely. But tonight, the LA Kings play Edmonton. I got to think that's going to be an over because neither one of these teams played well last night.
What's the total of that game? Folks out there,
Whatever it is, played. It's probably 6.5, Craig. But
6.5.
Edmonton lost 6-5. They can't make a save. You got to play the over in that game tonight because I don't see it going any other way.
Heard it from Dennis there. By the way, Vegas still very heavy favorites to win their division and
Yes.
could even win the West. The Stanley Cup, maybe not the shortest odds of anybody in the National Hockey League, but they're still plus 850 there. Okay, so Dennis, here in South Florida, we have just been so fortunate to have the best hockey that we've ever seen played by our guys
Right.
here, by the Florida Panthers. And I think, and I know a lot of people cover the team, and I remember being at spring training, I think it was last week, the week before, asking somebody who's covering the team, I'm like, so what's going on here? And it's like, the
Yeah.
light just never went on. Like it just
Sure.
never happened for them, and they're sitting on the outside looking in, and time is running out. They're plus 220 to get back into the playoffs. And I think that historically, if you look at it, Dennis, even if they were an 8 seed, you could see a path to be like, all right, they just sleptwalk
Sure.
through the season. Now they're going to turn it on. But I don't know. Like it feels like time is running out here. Is it done? Can the Panthers still get in?
Yeah, I think they're cooked, Greg. I just think it's not even the 8 point gap or whatever it is to get to the second wild card. They have to climb over 5 teams. So even if you win your games, there's going to be teams ahead of you that's going to win. It's as simple as that. So I think they're cooked. Look, Bobrovsky, look, a Hall of Famer. He's won 2 Stanley Cups. He's won Vezina trophies. He's had a bad season. His save percentage is .871 in the league that averages about .900. It just, look, Matthew Tkachuk, I'm glad he celebrated winning the gold medal because he's not going to be celebrating another Stanley Cup championship this season. They've played too much hockey, Craig. They went to the finals 3 years ago, lost to Vegas. They've won 2 years in a row, back-to-back. Enjoy it in South Florida. It's just not their year. Just too much hockey, too many teams to climb up. So I would not make that bet at plus 220 for them to make the postseason.
Meanwhile, Team Canada loses, and so Connor McDavid, man, he's been on the outside looking in, and speaking of which, some really tough losses in Cup finals, and then on the ice in the Olympics. Here's a clip from McDavid on his team losing last night.
This is a hard question, but Stanley Cups found Gretzky and Crosby and those guys and gold medals, and you've been and put yourself in position, and it's not finding you. Did you think it would be this hard?
It's a nice question. Thank you. It's disappointing. No way around it. We could be sitting here having a totally different conversation if things had gone a little bit differently. So. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to win. It's hard to win at any level, especially when we're talking about the best of the very, very best in the NHL and the Olympics. So the margins are very, very small, and we obviously saw that on Sunday, and we felt the effects of that here in Edmonton from time to time.
Charles Barkley never won a championship. Dan Marino never won one. Josh Allen is having a hard time getting one. I would think eventually McDavid has a better shot than some of these other guys, Dennis, to get one, though. I feel like eventually Edmonton will overcome, and they realize that generational player, they just got to get it more around him and get a championship.
Yeah, they have to find a goaltender, number one. They haven't been able to find a goaltender since he's been there. But you're right, the narrative's starting to be Josh Allen, the NHL. And now I'll say this, Connor McDavid did win 4 Nations last year, so he has won something. But yeah, to win the Stanley Cup, correct, that's why it's so difficult to win. Like, you have to get players around great players, and they haven't found that in Edmonton. So until they do that, he's going to be struggling to win the Stanley Cup.
Dennis, great stuff. We'll check in again soon. Thanks for coming on Newswire. Really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, Craig. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.